Most high-functioning women that I know think that they're just tired. But what's really happening is this. Their nervous system is in deep dysregulation. Adrenal fatigue isn't just a buzzword. It's what happens when the body doesn't have energy to create on demand anymore. And no, a good night's sleep of rest won't fix this, but there is a way out. I'm Naomi, a somatic trauma therapist, and today in this video I want to explain why rest isn't enough when you are dealing with burnout, adrenal fatigue, chronic fatigue, or any kind of chronic exhaustion with a whole other host of symptoms. And what actually helps to get out of it. First, I want to define burnout as a nervous system issue. And for that, you need to understand that stress is stress. Our survival mind, our nervous system, doesn't distinguish between an emotional stressor and an environmental stressor, or shooting this video, or being in a meeting. Our nervous system sends signals all the time, moving up to our brainstem and then to our limbic system. And then different areas of our brain interpret these signals. And our amygdala, together with the hypothalamus, turn emotions into a physical experience if there is a fear response. And that happens through the HPA axis. And now we have these hormones, cortisol and adrenaline, moving through our system. And if that keeps on going, then we end up in this dysregulated state. And just to be clear, the fear response, the survival response, these hormones, cortisol and adrenaline in itself are not bad. We want them to be there when we need them, when we need to be in a situation where when we are feeling threatened. The problem is that when we stay stuck in that state. When we have too much cortisol in our body, it puts it into a state of high alert or low-grade survival response. And that prevents our body to go into a parasympathetic nervous system state of rest and sleep. Now, as a side note, the parasympathetic nervous system state in survival mode is also the one that puts us into the shutdown, the collapse, the freeze mode, what we experience in burnout. But in safety, when we feel safe, the parasympathetic nervous system state is the one that allows us to rest, to sleep, for our digestion to function, for our cells to be able to repair while we're resting, for the toxins to flush out. And when we're awake, it allows us to be socially engaged with people, to find safety through connection, through co-regulation. Coming back to the resting, it just doesn't feel safe to rest when cortisol is running through our system. And it's these chemical and hormonal obstacles that prevent us from being able to sleep and restore. And at this stage, this is what we call adrenal sensitivity because of too much cortisol. And at some point, we're going to run out of cortisol production because our adrenal glands run out of resources to produce cortisol. And at that point, we end up with burnout and adrenal fatigue. Now, instead of cortisol running through our system, we are run by adrenaline. And that pushes us even higher into a hypervigilant state and a heightened survival response. Because adrenaline is the hormone for short-term hormone for survival response. Now your body goes into big inflammatory responses where you begin to have autoimmune issues and diseased states start to appear in the body. And this pushes us into a strange state. It's a very high level of stress. Eventually, we end up in full-blown adrenal fatigue or adrenal burnout when we can't produce adrenaline anymore. We even run out of resources to do that. That's when we have things like chronic fatigue, where we don't have energy to keep going anymore because our body doesn't have the resources to produce the metabolites required for all the cells in our body. And by all the cells, I mean everything: skin cells, muscles, ligament, bone, organs, in the gut, but also heart, lungs, the brain. Everything in your body functions suboptimally. That's exhausting. And you're in deficit. So you're in deficit of the metabolites, you're in deficit of cortisol production, in deficit of adrenaline production. And there's nothing left in your body to create energy on demand. And that leads to these deep burnout and chronic illness states, because we need energy to just function at a normal level. And chronic sleep disturbances is a big issue on so many levels at this point. And when this occurs, 1 weekend of resting doesn't restore the balance of our body. Resting is a non-negotiable, so you can't continue pushing through. You do have to stop that. But you need more than that to heal. You need to work at the nervous system level by doing neurosensory exercises, somatic practices, to help reduce the stress in the body that is sending danger signals back up to the brain. And you need to restore the sense of safety back in our body. When you've been in a prolonged state of stress, survival mode, chronic illness, then our nervous system becomes wired to be in that state. And it takes time to rewire the nervous system to feel a sense of safety again, to return to that parasympathetic nervous system state where resting feels restful. And when repairing, where our body, our cells can repair in that resting state. And over time, it is a slow process. Again, there's no quick fix. Over time, which can take months to a couple of years, depending on how deep you've gone there, your body will shift. It will come back into balance, into homeostasis, when the safety in our body starts returning. And all our cells start functioning better again. All our organs start functioning better again, including our brain. And that translates into having more energy, feeling better. In closing, if you've been resting and it's not working, it's not your fault. Please note that this is not an issue of your motivation. It's not about trying harder or changing your mindset. It's about learning how to work with the nervous system. And for that, it's not about pushing more, pushing through. And you also don't have to end up all the way with chronic fatigue. I didn't listen to my body, and it took a long time, 8 years to heal, and it sucked. And I don't wish that upon anyone. But healing is possible. And what you need is, of course, rest, the right support, professional support during trauma work, naturopaths, doctors, whatever it is, acupuncture. You need a lot of support. And doing the somatic practices that help your nervous system return to a state of safety. And if you're ready to understand how your body works and you want these somatic tools to heal, then book a discovery call with me or check out my offering, The Groundwork. If you're ready to dive in, It's a series of 4 sessions where I help you reduce the stress level and restore a sense of safety in your body. And I'll leave you with this. You don't need to fix everything today. Take that pressure off of yourself. You start with where you're at. You're not too broken to start. And know that your body wants to heal and that so much healing is possible. And I hold that in my belief that you can heal. If parts of this video resonates, leave a comment below, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button so that this content can reach more people that need to hear it. Thank you.